Man, I still can't believe Leon Edwards isn't fighting JDM anymore. Instead, they gave JDM a title shot against Bilal Muhammad, which is wild when you think about it, but at the time I really thought that that was a winnable fight for Leon. JDM is dangerous, no doubt about it, but he's been exposed in certain areas, especially with his grappling defense. But we've seen guys control him, and that's where Leon could have had success, with his grappling. His grappling is actually very underrated. People forget that he took Usman down, reversed positions on Bilal, and even took his back. That's not something a striker with no ground game does. If Leon mixes in his striking, clinch work, and uses his range, I could have seen him slowing JDM down, picking his shots, and making it a technical fight. I'm not saying Leon would have won for sure, but he's definitely had a better shot in there than his new fight. Now, if you've been living under a rock these past few days, you wouldn't know that Sean Brady is now Leon Edwards' new opponent. And look, I'm gonna be real with you, there's no nice way to say this. Leon Edwards has almost no chance of beating Sean Brady, in my opinion. I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. If you need proof, just go back and watch the second Bilal fight. Bilal didn't just beat Leon, he mauled him. He pressured him nonstop, out-wrestled him, and completely shut down Leon's striking by forcing him into the cage and keeping him on the mat. If Bilal could do that, what do you think a guy like Sean Brady can do? Because Brady fights in a similar style, but with way better jiu-jitsu. He's not just looking to control, he's actively hunting for submissions. Usman relies on raw wrestling strength, and Bilal grinds down opponents with relentless pressure and control, forcing opponents into bad positions over time. But Brady is a mix of both, with the added dangers of a serious ground game. If he gets Leon down, it's not just about stalling, it's about actively threatening chokes, transitions, and making Leon fight for survival every second. And unlike Bilal, Brady does not need 5 rounds to drain you. If he can get his opponent down early, he'll jump on a submission and finish the fight. And honestly, I don't see a world where Leon Edwards wins this fight, unless he fights like he did in the first Bilal fight. That version of Leon was aggressive, sharp, and completely outclassed Bilal in that first round. He was snapping kicks, piecing him up with his boxing, and dictating the pace. Bilal looked like he had nothing for him, but the problem is, Leon doesn't fight like that. I don't know why, he's just way too passive. Way too hesitant. If he came out with that kind of intensity and took the fight to Brady, maybe he has a shot to win. But do I think he'll do that? Absolutely not. Brady knows the game plan, okay? He's seen it work time after time again. Usman and Bilal already laid it out. Pressure Leon, take away his space, and overwhelm him with grappling. It's not some secret formula. We've seen that if you don't let Leon settle into his rhythm, if you stay in his face and make him work, he struggles. And Brady, he's relentless, he's physically strong, and unlike Bilal, he's got legit submission games that make him even more dangerous once he's on top control. And let's talk about Brady's grappling for a second, because it's on a different level. Just look at what he did to Kelvin Gastelum. That was insane. He ragdolled him against the cage, controlled him, and then wrapped him up for that submission like it was nothing. And we're talking about Gastelum here, a guy who fought some of the best middleweights in the world. And Brady made him look like he didn't even belong in there. That's how strong this guy is in the grappling department. Then there's the Gilbert Burns fight. That was impressive, man. Brady took Burns down and actually kept him there for a minute. And we're talking about Burns, a guy with some of the best BJJ in the entire division. Most don't even try to take him down because they're terrified of getting caught in a sub. But Brady, nah. He was in full control, keeping Burns down. And here's another thing, Brady isn't some one-dimensional wrestler with no hands. His boxing isn't elite, but it's good enough to give Leon problems. He doesn't just swing wild looking for takedowns. He sets things up well. He's got a tight guard, good inside boxing, and he knows how to mix in level changes to keep guys guessing. If you go back and watch his fight, he's actually pretty sharp when he's in the pocket. He throws clean 1-2, has a decent check hook, and isn't afraid to stand and trade when he has to. We saw it against guys against Michael Chiesa and even Gilbert Burns in certain exchanges. He can hold his own on the feet. And let's be real, Leon isn't invincible in the striking exchanges. Kamaru Usman, who isn't known for his boxing too much, was able to find success with his hands against Leon, especially in their second fight. Leon's defense is good, but he relies on his range and movement. Now, if Brady can work his way inside and make this a dirty fight, he could land some solid shots of his own. He doesn't need to outbox Leon for 5 rounds, he just needs to make him uncomfortable, get in his face, and make him second guess his own striking rhythm. That alone could be enough to set up his takedowns. And this is where Leon's biggest issue comes in. He has to respect the takedown threat at all times. That's what makes this fight tricky. Brady doesn't have to be the one winning the striking exchanges outright. He just needs to land enough to keep Leon thinking. And then, when the moment is right, change levels and put him on his back. That's where everything shifts in Brady's favor. Leon is good at defending takedowns in the open, but Brady is strong in the clinch and against the cage, and if he gets his hands on Leon, he's not letting go. We saw how he ragdolled Kelvin Gastelum, and that was a guy who historically has great takedown defense. Once Brady gets to a dominant position, he'll suffocate him. His top pressure is ridiculous, he's got legit submission threat from everywhere. Leon's good off his back, but against a guy like Brady, surviving is easier said than done. Now the big question is, can Leon survive this fight without being aggressive? Man, I don't know. I think Sean Brady is going to come out right out of the gate with that pressure, not respecting Leon's striking, and then just go straight into his wrestling. That's Brady's whole style. He doesn't waste time standing at range. He closes the distance fast, gets his hands on you, and starts grinding. If Leon isn't the one dictating the pace, it's going to be hard for him to stop that from happening. But can he still have some success without necessarily being aggressive? Yeah, I think so. He's not completely helpless in this matchup. For one, Leon's footwork and defensive grappling are way better than a lot of people give him credit for. He's got really good movement, and we've seen in his fight against Usman that he knows how to frame off takedown attempts and create separation when he needs to. If he can be disciplined and doesn't let Brady just rush in and grab a hold of him right away, he could make Brady work harder for those takedowns. That could be a key factor. If Brady isn't overcommitting to his pressure and isn't able to secure a clean takedown early, that's going to force him to take some risks later in the fight. But even if Leon can stuff the first few shots, he has to make Brady pay for it, or else Brady will just keep coming. Leon also has a great clinch game, which is something people tend to overlook. Yeah, Brady is a monster in those close range wrestling exchanges, but Leon has sneaking elbows and knees in the clinch and could make Brady think twice about just driving in recklessly. We've seen Leon land some big shots inside before. Remember what he did to RDA? He controlled him in the clinch, landed some solid knees, and showed that he knows how to frame off and attack in those tight spaces. That's something that he's gonna have to utilize in this fight, especially if Brady is just walking forward without much head movement. If Leon can make him pay with those short range strikes, it could slow Brady's pressure down. Another area where Leon could have some success is in the scrambles. We know that Brady is an elite grappler, but that doesn't mean that Leon is just going to accept the bottom position and give up. When you look at the Usman trilogy, one of the biggest improvements Leon showed was his ability to work back up on his feet. He wasn't just laying down there, letting Usman control him. He was using the cage, finding underhooks, and making sure he wasn't going to be stuck in bad positions for too long. Now, against Brady, that's going to be even more important because if he lets Brady settle on top, it's going to be a nightmare to escape. But if he's able to keep moving, find his way back up, and force Brady to work harder for control time, that could make a difference in the later rounds. However, this is a risky approach because even though Leon is capable of getting up, Brady's ability to keep opponents down is better than Usman's. If Leon's escapes don't work early, he could find himself stuck in a bad position for a long time. And then of course there's the striking. Even if Leon isn't being overly aggressive, he still has the edge in the pure stand-up. Brady's stand-up isn't bad, but let's be real, he's not on Leon's level when it comes to shot selection, accuracy, and overall striking IQ. If Leon can use his kicks effectively, keep Brady at range, and pop him with his jab whenever he tries to step in, that could force Brady into some desperate entries. And desperate entries, that's when guys start making mistakes. If Brady starts getting too predictable with his takedown attempts, Leon could time him coming in and land something big. Maybe a knee up the middle or one of those sneaky short uppercuts. The biggest thing for Leon is that he can't let Brady dictate everything. Even if he's not fighting aggressively, he has to be sharp, calculated, and ready to punish Brady's mistakes. If he does that, he could have moments of success. But the question is, can he do it consistently over 5 rounds? That's where it gets tough because Brady isn't going to stop coming forward. Leon might have some of his moments, but if he doesn't make Brady respect his striking early, it's going to be hard to stop the inevitable grappling exchanges from happening. Brady has that kind of pressure that doesn't fade easily. Even if he fails a takedown or two, he's going to keep shooting, keep grinding, and keep forcing Leon into uncomfortable spots. Leon has the tools to make things tricky for Brady, but it's a question of whether he can keep it up for round after round. So yeah, Leon doesn't have to be overly aggressive to have success. He just has to be smart. He has to make every second of space count, punish Brady for sloppy entries, and do everything he can to avoid spending long periods on the ground. But at the same time, Brady only needs one moment to change everything. If he can get Leon down and start applying that suffocating top pressure, it could be a long night for the former champ.